Hey, I want to welcome you to another episode of Money Matters Top Tips for Success, where each and every day I bring on new business owners, entrepreneurs, and executives and have them share their top tips for success with you. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, moneymatterstoptips.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Eric Aguilar on the line, and he's CEO and co-founder over at Omnitron Sensors. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Adam.
So I'm excited to get more into what you're doing over at Omnitron Sensors and how you're helping your clients. But before we do that, let's get a little bit further into your background. So how did you get started in your career in business?
Well, I have actually a technical degree, and I started my career by building sensors for drones at Navy research labs and defense contractors. In that division, I kind of fell in love with how our eyes work and how nature has solved sensing. I had a great mentor at the time, and we were developing a radar system. And this system was phenomenal in what it provided, but it also had some significant struggles, and we were trying to improve its performance. And I had the mentor at the time. He pointed me out to looking at nature for solving problems, and he also pointed me out to a research document on dithering. So our eyes actually vibrate a little bit in our sockets to help extract features. So we tried this in our radar system, and sure enough, you look at the images before and the images after we turned on this beam dithering, and we just saw phenomenal improvements. And at that point, I was like, wow, looking at nature to solve problems is really exciting. And since then, I've been applying these principles to everything that I do in the technical space, and has been actually great for my career. But that's really kind of what got me started in terms of falling in love with sensors and also looking at nature to solve some of these problems that we're dealing with today in autonomous vehicles.
That's awesome. And that's a great transition. Let's get a little bit further into what you're doing over at Omnitron Sensors. So first, tell us a little bit more about the company, please.
Yeah. So we are a silicon photonics company. So that means that we develop technologies leveraging silicon processes. And similar, I saw a big issue with LiDAR systems today. So LiDAR is a high-fidelity imaging sensor that's used for detecting objects around you and navigating in robots. Now, these sensors work great on a lab, but when it talks about dealing with the real world, that's where they fundamentally fall apart and where I've seen significant issues over the years. With that, again, got inspired by what happens in nature. So, for example, we drive in our cars and cars are vibrating and shaking, but we don't go unstable. We don't stop working. So what's going on there? And it turns out that there's a very sophisticated optical closed loop or an optical way to compensate for these issues with vibration. And seeing that and knowing that, and again, I'm always reading up on what happens there and going, hey, I think there's a solution here. And talking to my co-founder, we came up with this phenomenal IP dealing with MEMS devices. So MEMS are devices fabricated out of silicon to deal with some of these issues in photonics applications. So that's kind of what we got inspired in doing, and that's what we're up to doing today, developing these technologies to bring much more reliable, much lower cost sensors to the autonomous vehicle space.
So I don't know if I should call you this formally or not, but the autonomous vehicle guy, when is it coming? Tell me. I need to know, because you've been in the space for a long time. I guess for how new the space is, you're one of the old guys. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, that sounds scary. You're like, man, I've been doing this more than 5-10 years. No, but when are they coming? Like, what is the state of autonomous vehicle? When can I push the button on my phone and have a driverless vehicle come pick me up?
Yes, I get that question frequently, and I don't know, the best way for me to answer it is I love the investment in this space, from the DARPA Grand Challenge to all these companies starting up and the billions of dollars of funding invested into it. Been passionate about this space, but what has also excited me is all the derivative companies that have spun out of this. We have, for example, NVIDIA, who invested $3 billion on building this phenomenal computer chip that's used in the Tesla vehicle today. So all of these derivative investments also kind of spun me up in terms of starting my own company. So it's more like I don't really know, and I don't think anybody really knows in terms of when that's going to happen. But the fact that it is happening, that there is this push to happen, has created all these new industries in AI and machine learning advancements, in sensor advancements that have improved on safety and reliability on the roads, and just enabling all this new industry that's really exciting. And that's what actually gets me more excited than when is a fully autonomous car going to come pick me up.
Well, no, sorry, that's me being a selfish consumer. I'm just picturing the day of when the car comes gets me and it's all covered in screens. I don't need any windows or anything else.
Yeah.
And I can just hit the button. I'm like, oh, let's see. While I'm going on this drive, let's see, beach. What do I want? Beach? No. Do I want countryside? Can I push a button and have a little aromatherapy at the same time? Sorry, Eric, I digress.
No.
But it just excites me, like the space. And it is how does development, because I don't, I would say obviously some markets are more mature than others. What do you think are some of the more advanced markets right now in that space? I mean globally.
Oh wow. So to me, where advancement is really needed in this space to bring to the forefront is threefold. There's energy density, so batteries, for example, as they improve on energy density, you get more and more operation and more capabilities. For the drone industry in particular, when lithium-ion batteries became much more prevalent and available, we went away from the internal combustion engine and started using these. And getting more range and more operation there has been phenomenal. Another space that has significantly advanced is computational power. The more and more that I can do remotely with a drone or an autonomous vehicle, the less a human operator is required. And that just completely opens up the space, and the more investment that goes on there, we have yet to unlock what our brain really does, and that's what's really exciting here. And then lastly, and where I'm most passionate about is sensors. These robots can barely see the world and sense its environment. So the more and more we give in terms of capabilities there, the more they can do. Operating at night, operating in inclement weather, all these things that are still kind of in the frontier of what can be done is what excites me about this space.
Yeah, that is exciting. So Eric, if somebody's listening to this, and I can talk to you about this all day. I mean, our time ran out for this episode, but I'm like, I got like 30 more questions for you. We're going to have you back.
Sure.
But if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about Omnitron Sensors or to follow what you're up to, what's the best way for them to connect?
LinkedIn is honestly the best way. So I'm on LinkedIn. Just look up Eric Aguilar, and you'll find me there.
Fantastic. Well, hey, Eric, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background, all the great work you're doing at Omnitron Sensors, and glad to know people like you are working on getting my fantasy of pushing the button and having the autonomous vehicle come pick me up to become a reality. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes store, share this with your friends, your family, your coworkers. I mean, do all those great things we do to support our podcasters. I really do appreciate it. And Eric, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.